Why Russia is so scared of the US-made HIMARS. HIMARS is one of the world's most advanced artillery rocket systems. Its range is farther than anything the Ukrainians had, so when that was transferred, they did get the ability to strike targets deeper behind the front lines, and much more accurately at that. They are considered to be most effective for attacking stationary targets such as infrastructure and troops in a concentrated area. HIMARS have been integral for Ukraine in a defensive and offensive capacity in the war against Russia, and have strategically liberated significant Ukrainian cities and territory that likely wouldn't have happened otherwise. Firstly, HIMARS were getting used by Ukrainians in fighting Russia's offensive in Donbass by allowing Ukraine to attack Russian supply and ammunition depots. HIMARS is one of the many systems delivered by the United States to Ukraine that allowed the Ukrainian armed forces to gain some decisive victories, especially in the counteroffensive launched in September and October last year that led to the recapturing of Kherson. And tactical experts mentioned that without the HIMARS, the Ukrainians wouldn't have the capacity to liberate the city. Until now, the US has supplied at least 20 HIMARS launchers to Ukraine and another $200 million additional military aid for Ukraine, in a package that is expected to include more rockets for HIMARS and more munitions for Patriot surface-to-air missile defense systems. HIMARS helped Ukraine a lot in the ongoing conflict with Russia, but they also came with a long list of usage restrictions, and one of the main restrictions was that HIMARS cannot be fired into Russian territory. This can back up the fact that some kinds of projectiles can be fired up to 190 miles by a HIMARS launcher, though that feature reportedly has been disabled in HIMARS supplied to Ukraine only. Analysts are saying that these kinds of restrictions are the US's way of preventing their support for Ukraine from growing into a larger conflict between the US and Russia. They are saying that the United States should avoid encouraging or facilitating a Ukrainian effort to fully expel Russian forces from all of its territory, including Crimea, a war aim that would run too high of a risk for promoting Putin to undertake even more reckless actions, including the possible use of nuclear weapons. But what are some of the factors that are making these trucks with some rockets in the back a nightmare for the Russians? With no official information available on how powerful a HIMARS rocket is, it's said that the blast caused by a HIMARS launching a GLMRS rocket is equal to about 270 pounds of TNT. HIMARS consists of an armored truck with 6 guided multiple launch rocket systems, 227mm GPS-guided missiles, while each rocket has a range of 50 miles, typically landing 9 feet or less from the target. Their precision-guided munitions enable accurate targeting of distant or heavily fortified enemy positions, minimizing collateral damage. The system's mobility allows for rapid deployment to various locations, making it harder for adversaries to predict and counter its strikes. Also, the rocket's range and versatility enable engagement across a wide spectrum of threats, from armored vehicles to fortified structures. Lastly, the integration of advanced technology and real-time data sharing enhances situational awareness, improving target selection and overall operational effectiveness. One HIMARS, including a launcher and a carrier, a standard truck frame from the US Army's family of medium tactical vehicles, reportedly costs about between $4 million to $5 million. The price tag of one M31 GMLRS rocket stands at around $110,000. For now, the Pentagon contends it has shipped 18 pledges for Kiev, and if you're curious, there are 363 HIMARS in the US Army. Without a doubt, HIMARS are way more valuable targets for the Russians than everything else Ukraine is using, and not only they're trying to get rid of them as soon as possible due to the danger they're causing them, but also the fact that HIMARS are American-made, trying to make them look as much inefficient as possible. As of now, the Russians claim that they've destroyed nothing less than 27 HIMARS, while reports have claimed that only 18 HIMARS systems were delivered to Ukraine. To clear the fog that's been going on lately, a Ukrainian commander named Captain HIMARS explained that no HIMARS were destroyed since the beginning of the conflict, and they are all safe in the Soviet-era bunkers. Standing in front of a HIMARS as it launches its lethal guided multiple launch rocket systems rockets at an unknown location, Captain HIMARS ridicules Russian claims about destroying several HIMARS. Quote, "You're constantly being lied to that there are barely any HIMARS left. Take a look at the conditions under which we store HIMARS. They can even withstand nuclear strikes. Since the beginning of the war, not a single HIMARS system has been destroyed," Captain HIMARS said. While the Russians quickly learned how to adapt to the HIMARS shelling, they have been constantly looking to destroy these systems. To safeguard their prized HIMARS from Russian missile and UAV strikes, Ukraine has moved the systems inside Soviet-era nuclear bunkers and replaced them with dummies of HIMARS to fool the Russians. Europeans are looking to purchase more HIMARS from the US. Impressed with the success of the US-made M142 HIMARS multiple rocket launcher in Ukraine, more European nations want to buy HIMARS or develop their own version of it. German defense contractor Rheinmetall and US defense firm Lockheed Martin have partnered to offer HIMARS, a replacement for Germany's aging Mars 2 multiple launch rocket system. HIMARS would be similar to HIMARS, but bigger. Before Germany, Poland was the first European country that showed interest in HIMARS, and now has already got the first delivery of US-made HIMARS. Poland has received its first shipment of US-made HIMARS rocket launchers as part of a defense upgrade amid security concerns due to the war in the neighboring Ukraine. Defense Minister Mariusz Blaszczak has stated that the recent hostilities in Ukraine have underscored the effectiveness of the HIMARS system. In accordance with the contract from 2019, Poland has allocated approximately $414 million for the procurement of 18 advanced combat HIMARS launchers and 2 HIMARS training launchers. This purchase includes accompanying ammunition, as well as associated equipment, logistics, and training. These launchers are designated for deployment within the 1st Artillery Brigade located in the northeastern part of Poland. The US also made a $10 billion deal with Poland this year, a deal which includes HIMARS that launches 45 M57 Army tactical missile systems. These long-range guided rockets have been reportedly requested by Ukraine, yet the US has refrained from providing them, citing concerns about exacerbating the ongoing conflict.